you. Like I said earlier, my name is Lydia. I'm going to be here as MC today. Actually came straight here from the DNC show. Hearts are proudly waved. Clouds twilight mercy. Whose wings rise through the perilous fire. For the romance will watch, for so gallantly slain.
Everyone place your right hand over your heart. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Now for our U.S. pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, everyone. How are y'all feeling today? Now, Texas is my home. I'm a fourth generation Texan, and I know that we can do so much better than Ted Cruz. As you'll hear today, there is so much at stake in this election this November. Right now, Allred is tied with Ted Cruz. And it is up to each and every one of us to help him get over the finish line this November. Right? Raise your hand if you want to defeat Ted Cruz. Raise your hand if you want to elect Allred. Raise your hand if you want to knock on some doors. Keep your hands up. Or send some text messages or make some phone calls. So right now, I want you all to take those hands and pull out your cell phones, and I want you to join me and going to TexasOffense.com, TXOffense.com, and see that big button. Click it, sign up, get involved, get involved, get involved. We are at a pivotal point in the Texas story right now, and there is no role too small to help get this state back on the right track. Am I right? So I want to see some phones. We can't afford to stay on the sidelines this November. So let's make some calls, let's knock some doors, and let's get Ted Cruz out of the U.S. Senate. We have got 73 days to make sure that we elect Allred and we bring some decency back to that Texas Senate seat. So are y'all ready to do it? From our amazing speakers that we have today? All right, so you're fired up. I want to hear you one more time. I'm not... energy right there and help me welcome Cheryl Eliano, District 10 National Vice President of the American Federation of Government Employees.
What energy? What energy? All right. Good afternoon, Dallas. I'm so proud to be here representing the American Federation of Government Employees, representing more than 40,000 federal workers, and happy to be a part of this group of amazing women standing up and showing out for our freedoms here in Texas and for calling Allred. Woo! Colin Allred is a first-generation Texan who grew up here in Dallas, raised by a single mom. He went on to Baylor, the NFL, and Congress, and soon, what? Our senator. But he never forgets his Texas community and the hardworking folks that helped him, that gave him the chance to achieve. Colin Allred is a card-carrying union member, as was his wife. Woo, union! So no one has to tell them the importance of a union and the freedom to organize. He believes, I do, unions are strong, America is strong. He says that union workers in our industries are the backbone of Texas economy. So I know we will fight for our right to fair working conditions, to equal pay and treatment at work, the right to organize. He will fight for the working women and single moms out there who need tax credit relief and child care. Hardworking folks who need their costs lowered. He will work to cap the cost of insulin. He worked to cap the cost of insulin at $35, to lower health care costs, to protect Social Security and Medicare, and he was the first man to lead in Congress. Woo! So he walks the walk when he talks about serving our families and working people. Ted Cruz, he only cares about who? Himself. So we have a choice this election to stand together and elect a new leadership for Texas that cares about us. Fight for our freedoms. So let's get that done on November 5th. Colin Allred. Woo! Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you for having me. I would like to start off by saying that I am not a political person. But after what I've seen as an OBGYN since the abortion ban was enacted in Texas and Roe v. Wade was overturned, I have to speak up.
Thank you.
Although I am no longer delivering babies, I am still treating women in Texas, and I can tell you they are scared, and their health care providers are as well. It's gotten more dangerous to be a woman in Texas. Women have been robbed of their freedoms. The Texas abortion ban goes too far. This law didn't just make it illegal for a woman to have an abortion, it made it illegal for physicians to do their jobs. These laws are restrictive and purposely confusing. There is no clear guidance on exceptions, and Ted Cruz has remained silent. I have been an OBGYN for over 40 years, and women have come to me wanting to end a pregnancy for so many different reasons. The woman whose birth control failed, the woman who decides this is just not the right time for her to be pregnant, the woman who was diagnosed with cancer in her pregnancy and had to make the heartbreaking decision to start chemotherapy and terminate her pregnancy, or continue her pregnancy and risk dying of cancer. The woman who is grieving over a non-viable pregnancy, and the woman put in the horrible situation of being pregnant due to rape or incest. I have treated all of these women and more. This decision should be her decision to make. Her family, her faith, and her doctors who are trained to give the best medical advice. Politicians are not trained medical professionals. And there is no room for them in our exam rooms. Sadly, I have had to advise patients to leave our state to manage when I should be caring for them and supporting them. Now Texas women are being put at risk of death or infertility, and even requesting permanent sterilization in their 20s because they don't want to risk getting pregnant in Texas under these laws. Physicians are being forced to offer substandard care because of how these restrictions are enforced. It goes against our training and our standards to wait to treat a woman until she is in a life-threatening condition. It is unethical. It is also why we are seeing promising medical students and residents refusing to train and practice in our state. Our profession, Texas businesses, and most importantly, healthcare will feel the repercussions of this physician shortage down the line. But it does not have to be this way. Texans can speak up. We can stand up for the Texas we believe in, where women have the freedom to make their own healthcare decisions. Where doctors have the right to treat their patients according to their best medical judgment and standards. Where we don't live in fear. I am supporting Colin Allred because he will strive to restore the standard of Roe versus Wade that we have had in our country for over 50 years. He will work to restore access to reproductive health, protect IVF, and protect birth control. He will fight for our freedom and bring peace of mind back to Texas women and their doctors. That is why I and other providers across our state are working to elect Colin Allred as our next senator from Texas. Please join us. Thank you.
Let's hear that one more time for me, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it is extremely important for us to elect Colin Allred, but it's also extremely important for us to flip some seats in the Texas State Legislature. So I want to welcome back onto the stage the young woman who's going to flip House District 112, Avery Bishop!
Why is the mic like that? It was like pushed down. Hello, y'all. My name is Avery Bishop, You all might know me for the work I did as Miss Texas, advocating for working families and women to fight for a Texas that includes and uplifts everyone, not just a select few. I've traveled more than 60,000 miles across this state as Miss Texas, and along the way, I met with Texans who believe in protecting freedom more than folks like Ted Cruz may think. A Texas made up of people like you who've come here to show your support. I relate to Congressman Allred's story. It's a lot like mine. I'm the daughter of a fifth-generation Texan and a Filipino immigrant mother. Both my parents worked 2 jobs each to provide for my family growing up. I was the first in my family to graduate from law school and first Asian American to win Miss Texas in the 85-year history of the organization. I know what it's like to work hard and hope that those who were elected to serve us are working as hard as we do. I also know what it's like to grow up in a small town and who looked like me, let alone who fought for me, and it's time for a new kind of leadership. It's why I am running to represent Texas House District 112. And that's why I'm fighting to elect Colin Allred, who understands who we are as Texans. We make up a big, bold, diverse, and beautiful state, and I know he will fight for all of 30 million of us as our next senator. And for our rights that have been taken away by politicians like Cancun Cruz. That was not in the script, I'm so sorry. So it is my absolute honor to be here today with Texas women who have been bold and brave in the face of adversity. Doctors who know that Ted Cruz's abortion ban has gone too far. Women who are leaders in their community, making their voices heard in this election. And the women who have faced the unthinkable under the Texas ban, denied abortion care, having to leave our state or be turned away at the doors when seeking help. But they are here today and have turned those experiences into action. We have all chosen to speak out and stand up for something better, to stand with Colin Allred. Thanks so much for being here, and I look forward to serving you. Very Gen Z here.
Before Avery leaves the stage, I actually want to know if y'all are okay with all of us taking a big selfie together. Everyone say, "Let's call Allred." Thank y'all. All right. I know we just talked about how important it is to flip some of these seats in the state house, but our next speaker is very familiar with what it means to be a in our state legislature. And I'm very excited to say that she'll take that same fight and energy to the U.S. House of Representatives. Ladies and gentlemen, the next Congresswoman from Texas's 32nd Congressional District, Julie Johnson.
Whoop! Look at y'all! This is amazing. So I'm Julie Johnson. I'm state representative for House District 115, and I am excited to be your Democratic nominee for the United States Congress. Well, let me tell you, I'm going to have some big shoes to fill with Colin Allred, aren't I? I mean, we need him in the United States Senate, and we have got to frickin' beat Ted Cruz. You know, I serve as vice chair of the Women's Health Caucus in the Texas legislature and was there fighting with so many of you to try to stop this horrible abortion ban that was inflicted on our state. And you know, the thing is, and you're gonna hear from some amazingly courageous women, but women are under attack by Republicans in Texas, right? You know, I mean,
They want to control the education of our kids. They want to be in your exam room with your physician telling you what your doctors can and cannot do for you, right? They want to now restrict what roads you can drive on if you want to leave the state. And let me tell you, these people are crazy what they're wanting to do. They're crazy. They are wanting to, there's an initiative to make women of childbearing age have to pass a pregnancy test to leave the state of Texas. Now get your head wrapped around that. So if you don't think now is the time for women to claim their right and be a part of this election, there has never been a time. Allred has been a singular champion for women and women's rights to their health care in the United States Congress. Ted Cruz has been the leading opposition to our freedom. He single-handedly helped pack a Supreme Court that was determined to take away our rights. He says this, I have this here so I can read it to you, that the overturning of Roe versus Wade was nothing short of a massive victory for people. And he is the author of a national abortion ban. And he said that Texas's abortion ban, without any exception for rape, incest, or health of the mother, was perfectly reasonable. Yeah, it's the most reasonable thing ever. You know, I want to tell you a personal story. Many of you have who's 28 years old, who had an ectopic pregnancy. She was rushed to a hospital in one of the suburban cities here in the Metroplex, and she was waiting in the hallway in a chair as she proceeded to lose 50% of her blood volume. She almost died. Many of you know my wife is a physician, ran up there in her doctor outfit, started raising hell, what's going on? And they said, well, doctor, we're so sorry, we're short-staffed, and this was our 18th pregnancy-related emergency that day. If you don't think that women and families are suffering under the oppression of Republicans in Texas, you have another thing coming, and we have to show our outrage at the ballot box. We have to show our outrage knocking doors, and we have to show our outrage to elect Colin Allred to beat Ted Cruz. I mean, come on. So my challenge to you all is this. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Are we going to win? Because when we fight, what happens? When we fight, what happens? When we fight, what happens? And we have to win, people. We have to win. We have to win. We need to elect Avery Bishop to the Texas House. We need to flip the Texas House. We need to elect Colin Allred as the next senator for the state of Texas.
All right. Colin's coming soon. I know you're excited. In 2021, when Ted Cruz's abortion ban took effect, I had just graduated from my senior year of high school. And in the last 3 years, all of us have heard heart-wrenching stories about so many brave Texas women who have had their lives and fertility put at risk because of the total abortion ban that has no exceptions for the health of the mother that we have here in place in the state of Texas. Many of these women have become household names because of what Ted Cruz has put them through. So please join me in giving a Texas-sized welcome to the Zorowski plaintiffs who turned their pain into action and are fighting for our reproductive freedom every single day.
everybody. My name is Taylor Edwards, and I am one of over 20 women who brought their case before the Texas Supreme Court, being denied a medically necessary. I am proud to be here with the brave, incredible women telling out stories that reflect what's happening to women across the state. Ted Cruz has refused to hear me, so I thank you all for listening and being here today, and for showing up for Colin Allred, who has remained in my family's corner. The fall of Roe v. Wade and Texas's trigger ban in place has often made me wonder how some of the leaders in our state could hear our stories and our experiences and decide that they were okay with it. I will never forget the day that I was told my baby had a condition that she would not survive. I needed an abortion. In many other states, that might have been the end of our nightmare, but in Texas, it was just beginning. Nothing doctors could do. We were left on our own to research options and coordinate interstate travel while dealing with the most traumatic situation of our lives. I was forced to flee the state, terrified and heartbroken. Ted Cruz is proud of this. He worked to get us here. If he had never pushed his extreme policies on abortion, I wouldn't be standing here today to tell you all about the worst day of my life and how it was made all the more traumatic. What's more, I was able to conceive due to the miracle of IVF, a miracle for so many families. And Ted Cruz is threatening that too. His abortion ban is the only reason we're even having to debate access to IVF. Women deserve better. We deserve the freedom to access the healthcare we need and to get it close to home with the doctors and medical teams that we trust. Instead, Ted Cruz has criminalized us. I am not a criminal. I'm a mother who made the best decision she could out of love for her baby, a baby that I desperately wanted, who is terminally ill. We all know who Ted Cruz is and what he's done, even if he refuses to answer for it. That's why I support Congressman Colin Allred. He listens to us and fights for us. I know that he will fight to restore women's safety, our peace of mind, our freedoms. Reproductive freedom is under attack, and we need people like Colin to protect them. So I hope you'll join me in doing everything we can between now and November 5th to elect him to U.S. Senate. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. Hi, Texas. Thank you for having me. My name's Dr. Austin Denard. I was a plaintiff in the Zorofsky case, and I'm also an OB-GYN in Dallas and a mother to 3 young children. So my experience is a little bit different. It's unique because I knew exactly what was going on with my pregnancy and exactly the care that I needed. I knew that carrying a fetus with a fatal diagnosis was only putting my life in danger, and that abortion was my best chance of preserving my own fertility. I remember looking up at that ultrasound screen in disbelief, grieving a child that my family and I were so excited to welcome, and coming to the realization that I would have to flee my own state to receive the care. I'm a 6th-generation Texan. This is my state. This is my home. And I'm proud to be raising my family here. But having to flee to get an abortion that my doctor and I knew that I needed, completely humiliating. Let's be clear. Ted Cruz is to blame. Yes. In those moments, I felt like my pregnancy wasn't my own, that it belonged to the state, because I no longer had the choice in what I could do. And leaders like Ted Cruz didn't trust that I knew what was right for my body and my family. I felt abandoned. Leaders like Ted Cruz were supposed to be working to help me. They had turned their backs instead. I never So that, my friends, is why I'm here today to say we cannot afford 6 more years of Ted Cruz representing us, someone who has done everything in his power to our state's ban and put Texas women like me and our families in danger. And it's why I wholeheartedly support our dear friend Colin Allred, who is a fourth-generation Texan and a father himself. And let me tell y'all, he cares. He does. He is someone who trusts women and their doctors to make their own decisions. He is someone who understands that women are facing horrific things under this ban, and he is going to fight to change it. So this is what I need from you. We need to be talking about the stakes of this election and what it means for women's access to abortion and the health care that they need. We are sitting at the soccer games talking about it. We need to be talking about it in the carpool line when we pick up our children, at the dining room table when we're talking with our family members who might agree with everything we think. We need to be talking about it when we're drinking coffee with our sisters and our friends and our husbands and our brothers. Colin understands that, and Colin will fight to restore our freedoms, and he will get there with our help. So thank you so much for being here and for joining us in launching Women for Allred.
Howdy, y'all. Thank you for having me. My name is Lauren Miller, and like countless women in Texas, I have my own story that Ted Cruz put me and my family through. After learning I was pregnant with twins, my husband and I started planning for the thrilling yet terrifying prospect of our future, making plans and purchases. Unfortunately, at 14 weeks, testing and ultrasounds revealed horrible news. One of our twin sons was going to die. Among other fatal diagnoses, half of where his brain should have been was just fluid. I had already been in and out of the hospital for complications. Every single medical professional with whom we spoke was clear. Every day that I continued the pregnancy, to stay together and to save myself. Just a few years ago, before SB 8 and the overturning of Roe, I would have been able to get a single fetal abortion, a single shot here in my home. But now, the medical care I needed was illegal in Texas. Despite careening towards organ failure, I wasn't dead enough for Texas. And that's the reason I'm here today. Being pregnant should be a reason to have our basic human rights to health, life, and liberty put at risk. But it's reason enough for Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz made it his life's work to overturn Roe v. Wade. State legislators, appoint the federal judges he knew would threaten our freedoms, despite Texans like me begging him not to do so. And I know because I've been calling and his office for a decade. Let's be clear, exceptions to abortion bans do not exist. Not in Texas, not anywhere. I am living proof of that. Ted Cruz proudly supports bans with no exceptions for rape, for incest, for help of the mother, or for health and life of a viable twin. Cruz praises Texas's abortion, making it reasonable. I'll be honest, I don't think it's perfectly reasonable that I was forced to leave this state, leave the ER, and spend thousands of dollars to get medical care to keep me alive. I don't think it's perfectly reasonable that Ted Cruz's politics jeopardized my life and that of our viable twin, my now 1-year-old, happy, healthy, wonderful son, Henry. And I definitely don't think it's perfectly reasonable that Ted Cruz gets to define when I forfeit my bodily autonomy to the state's control. He's even voiced support for fetal personhood bills that would threaten reproductive health measures across the board. His record he refused to answer for career-long effort. He is a coward. I'm not surprised. When I took my story to the Judiciary Committee, his subcommittee, he couldn't even be bothered to show up. He refuses to hear from the women who are suffering in Texas because of what he's done. But Colin Allred sat with me that day. Colin Allred heard my story and committed to restoring reproductive rights in Texas. Yeah. Because Colin Allred shows up for women. He will show up for Texas. He knows that we are not who Ted Cruz says we are. And Ted Cruz will hear from us loud and clear on November 5th when he sees what we do with our right to vote. And he will hear after we put in the work for the next 73 days to elect Colin Allred to Senate. We need a leader like Colin Allred. We can't afford anything less. So let's do this, y'all. Let's beat Ted Cruz.
What's up, Dallas? My name is Amanda Zarowski. You may know my name or have heard my story of fighting alongside over 20 brave Texas women who took our tragedies to the Texas Supreme Court, many of whom you've had the chance to hear from today. I am so glad to be here today alongside these brave women fighting to protect our freedoms in this election. And I'm also excited and fired up to elect Colin Allred. You know, when I first brought our lawsuit, it never occurred to me that we would be the first, that this would catch fire the way that it did and grab the attention of Texas and the entire country. All I knew is that we wanted this to end. We wanted no other Texas women to have to face the risks to their health, fertility, and lives extreme ban on abortion, no exceptions for the health of the mother, has endangered Texas women. My advice now to expecting is 2 bags, because you might need one to flee the state. That's the reality that we're living in because of Ted Cruz. Tragically, stories like mine are not unique, as you've heard today. These stories could have been avoided. Stories that, if left up to Ted Cruz, will continue to be a reality for Texas women. That's why this election is so important, y'all. It is a choice and a fight for our fundamental freedoms here in Texas. It's why I'm so empowered to be here with all of you today, pain into action by electing a new vision for this state in Colin Allred. Colin Allred is a fourth-generation Texan who has served our state. He knows who we are. Colin Allred will fight for our freedoms, including our reproductive freedoms. The freedom to make our own healthcare decisions. The freedom to make decisions about our own families, our own bodies, and our own lives. For Texans' freedom and for our future, I couldn't think of someone better than Colin Allred to be a true fighter for all 30 million of us. So let's get it done this November. Thank you.
These Texas women right here are such an important part of the story. So thank you all so much for your selflessness. And our next speaker is another one of these women who has been a beacon of hope for those of us here in Texas that one day we will get back our fundamental freedoms. And honestly, she doesn't need any other introduction than that. Please come out, Kate Cox.
Good afternoon, Texas. I first want to say thank you to all of these brave women for standing up here today and sharing their experiences. On the eve of the anniversary of Texas's state abortion ban going into effect, these are painful moments that we have all turned to purpose to fight for our freedoms here in Texas. I was heartbroken when I received the news we all hope we don't get, that my baby wasn't going to survive. We desperately wanted this baby, but the stakes were too high and I didn't want her to suffer. I was shocked to find out I didn't qualify for any kind of exception to the abortion laws, that the state of Texas wanted me to continue a pregnancy where I would have to wait for my baby to die and put my own health at risk and a future pregnancy at risk before my doctors could take the action that was best for me and my baby. While I was sitting in that doctor's office, not far from here in Dallas, these women here today were in court for Zorowski versus Texas. They inspired me to bring my own case. And if I had to do it over again, I would. I'm sure these women would agree. Because I've heard these stories from so many women. I have hope for my daughter, and I have hope that things can be different. I have seen how sharing our stories empowers other Texans who know it doesn't have to be this way. I have seen what happens when Texas women come together in the courts, in our communities, and at the ballot box. What I've learned from this experience is that if you are pregnant, if you love someone that is pregnant, if you may become pregnant, you have to vote like your life depends on it. Colin Allred has often said this election will be about Texans talking to Texans, neighbors talking to neighbors, and women talking to women about what we want the future of our state to look like. I can tell you it's not the vision Ted Cruz has for us. Colin Allred, he sees a future for our state where women have the freedom to make our own choices, where stories like mine are things of the past, where Roe v. Wade, reproductive health care, and our peace of mind are restored. He sees a future for Texas we can all be a part of, where we have more that unites us than divides us, where we feel safe. Because I found a way to access abortion care, I'm again and I have hope. And my is due in January, just in time seeing Colin elected as the next senator of our great state. Thank you. And now I want to introduce Colin's lovely wife, Allred.
Welcome, y'all. Hey! I love being home in Dallas, I'll tell ya. I'm Allred. I'm Colin's wife. I'm an attorney. I'm a mom to two very busy little boys. And I know all of the joy and the chaos that comes with being a mom and a wife and working full time. But our two little boys are our whole world. And they're the reason that we're here today, because we want to make sure that we give our kids, and all Texas kids, a Texas that has leadership we can be proud of. And that unfortunately has not been what we've been seeing in Texas with the attacks on our freedoms. Colin and I have had two babies in Texas at Baylor Hospital in Dallas. And we were blessed to have healthy pregnancies, but you still go to every appointment and every ultrasound, and you hold your breath and you pray for good news. And if you get that impossible news, the news that you've heard so many women here today received, politicians in Texas have done the unthinkable, which is to make those moments even harder for you. And no longer are those tough decisions that follow made between you and your family, your faith, your doctor. Now there are lawyers involved, administrators, and politicians like Ted Cruz. I had a lot of thoughts that went through my head during both of my pregnancies. Like, what would we name our child? Do I need a bassinet? What on earth is a nose Frida? But I can tell you what I wasn't thinking. I was never thinking, I really wish a lawyer were here. I'm a lawyer. I don't belong in your doctor's office. And what I certainly was never thinking was, I really wish Ted Cruz were here. Texans respect freedom. And since Roe was overturned, Texas women have had fewer rights and fewer freedoms. Texas women are proud, strong women, and we can make decisions. We know what's right for our families. We deserve a senator who trusts us, a senator who respects our freedom, respects everyone's freedom, and a senator who cares. A senator who believes that bipartisanship isn't just something you do in an election year, it's how you get things done for Texas families. Colin knows that you have to work together to get results, even when you disagree. He knows that for Texas families is more important than scoring just political points. Because unlike Ted Cruz, Colin wants to deliver for Texans. He wants to give folks the opportunities that they need to succeed in Texas, to get a good education, to get job training, a good job, and retire with dignity, while Ted Cruz is trying to cut Social Security and Medicare. We need a senator who will fight for your family as hard as he fights for his own. We all know that's not Ted Cruz, but Colin will be that senator. So I am so happy to introduce my wonderful husband and our next senator, Colin Allred.
Thank y'all for being here. How proud are you to be a Texan with these women up here? I'll tell you what, they don't need me to be proud of them, but I am. The fact that they can tell their stories so that what they had to go through, process. I appreciate them all. And I want to thank my wife. But you know what? This is not my Texas. I'm a Texan. I was born and raised here by a single mom, as y'all have heard. My mom taught for 27 years in Texas public schools. I am standing in front of you because so many Texans poured themselves into me. Teachers and coaches who went above and beyond when they weren't being paid enough. My local YMCA, where I went so much, they started letting me come for free. I know who we are as Texans. My family's from Brownsville. I grew up here. I played football at Baylor. I know who we are. And these women should not have had this happen to them here in our state. So it's on their behalf, on behalf of the state that I know we can be, on behalf of my little boys who are 3 and 5 and who are 5th generation Texans. It's on behalf of all of our kids and the future that we want to build together, that with y'all's help and God's grace, we're going to beat Ted Cruz. You know, you might have seen me the other night at the DNC. It was a small little event that happened. And what we were talking about there was that, you know, when I was in the NFL, we had a term for guys like Ted. We called them me guys. Anybody's ever been a part of a team, a part of a group, knows what I'm talking about. There's always somebody on that group who takes all the credit, but doesn't do the work, who you can't count on in a crisis. On any team, if you have too many of those me guys, then you're not going to do too well. But I've always believed in the power of we. That's right. I think it runs through our founding documents and our ideals. We the people. We shall overcome. Yes, we can. And we don't have to be represented by Ted Cruz for 6 more years. So you know what, we got 73 days. Y'all seen the polling, we are in a very, very close race, okay? This is a close race. You know what this margin is? This is a margin that you can make happen, that we can make happen, right? I was a voting rights lawyer before I ran for Congress. I know how difficult it can be to vote in our state. I know it personally, I've worked on it. But that's not the only thing that's held folks back here in our state. There's been a belief, in some cases, enforced by results, that it won't matter for our fellow Texans if they get engaged in their democracy. But what we have to do is not curse the darkness, though, but to light a candle. We have to bring the good news to our fellow Texans. They don't have to be embarrassed by their senator, but they can get a new one. So what I need y'all to do is to commit, to help us knock on doors, make phone calls, reach out to our fellow Texans. This is the most important election of our lifetime, and we can't afford 6 more years of this. I want you to imagine, in January 2025, when we restore a woman's right to choose, and we pass Roe v. Wade into law, and then we can tell the stories of what happened. But we won't have to have the experiences of them happening anymore. This is so deeply personal for all of us. For us as Texans, I know who we are. We're better than this. Texas women are strong. I was raised by a strong Texas woman. My aunt was a strong Texas woman. My grandmother was a strong Texas woman. I'll tell you one thing, you don't mess with Texas women. So that's the choice before us. Which way are we going to go? Which way are we going to go? Are we going to continue down this road where more stories like these happen? Or are we not going to go back? We're not. That's right. We're not going back. So you know what? If you do this to Texas women, if you are singularly responsible in a way that almost no other Texan can claim to be, because you put the judges on the court who took this right away, because you helped elect the legislators who passed these laws at the state level, because you called for these laws to be passed, you celebrated when they were passed, then you should lose your job. If when 30 million Texans are freezing in the dark, you decide it's a good time to go to Cancun, you should lose your job. If you want to cut Medicare and Social Security so you can give tax breaks to the rich, you should lose your job. If you refuse to help us secure the border because you want to use it as a problem to run on instead of something to fix, then you should lose your job. And my goodness, if you spend 12 years talking about yourself, podcasting 3 to 5 times a week, making it all about you, then you should lose your job. And this November 5th, what's going to happen? Ted Cruz is going to lose his job. So let's do it, Texas. Let's do it together. Let's do it for all of us, for all 30 million of us. I will be a senator for every single Texan, whether you vote for me or not, whether we agree or not. I've been the most bipartisan congressman in Texas, in the entire Congress. I will continue to be that for all of you. I know who we are. And we're going to stand up on November 5th and we're going to shock the world. Let's do it together, Texas. God bless you. May God bless the great state of Texas. All right, let's go, everybody. Let's go. Let's get to work.